Hi everyone, thanks for joining me on today's video. So we're just going to make quite a short one this week. And I just wanted to cover off a topic that we've had an email regarding. Just before we get going, I just want to say a massive thank you to everyone who's given us some phenomenal comments and feedback over the last couple of weeks or so. It has genuinely been amazing. We've obviously struck a chord with a lot of artists and creative people, which is really good, and some of the things that we're doing is really helping a lot. Which is enormously gratifying. So thank you so much. People like the no frills kind of honest approach that we're doing. I mean, that's a lot of it is born out of the fact that we can't video edit to save our lives. So that's why we're trying to do everything in one take. But at the end of the day, this is just honesty. It's just based on our experiences over the last 10 or 11 years. The caveat is it may or may not work for you. So there we go. But if you could take something from it, happy days. Okay. At the end of the video, I might just say that we've got something really exciting to tell you as well, so please do watch to the end. We're going to use the whiteboard. Never used the whiteboard before, okay, but there's a reason for it, and I'll tell you now. So I've had an email. I'm just going to grab it here. I won't say the guy's name, but he's about to quit his job, and he's been in a couple of galleries and done okay, sold a few pieces. And he's been employed for 30 years doing this particular job, and now he's going to be a full-time artist, and he's like, oh, I'm so terrified and excited all at the same time. So actually I'm going to kind of break with the whole advice thing and offering tips and tricks, and actually just do something which I've looked online for this and I haven't actually seen anything, but I'm going to plot the artist's journey. Now this is what I've experienced. I've talked to 4 other artists and they've had similar experiences. So I'm going to base it on not just on me, but on other people as well. And so I'm going to, hopefully this chap's watching, but I'm going to do a graph now. And this is essentially going to plot out, well, let's just get the first line in. So we're going to get our timeline in. Now, all this will make sense. Bear with me. Hope you've got a cup of coffee. Okay, so let's go down here and write the word time. Now this I have no idea what time period this is. I mean, this is going to be entirely dependent on what you do. Okay, I'll get one up there. Now, I know this is probably like being sat in a lecture hall, probably. But please don't worry, all this will make sense, all right? Let's go with the colour. This is where I spend 15 minutes trying to choose a colour now. Oh, welcome to my world. Right, so, no, we'll choose a different one. Let's go in with blue. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to talk about momentum. And then I'm going to talk about desire, and then I'm going to talk about the work that you produce. And bizarrely, you can plot this on a graph, and I'm going to explain why. Okay, so first thing I want to do is to look at something called momentum, all right? Now, we all know that once you've got some momentum, it's very easy to keep it, or it's a lot easier to keep it going once it's moving. Think about if you're pulling a truck, once the truck is up and going on these strongman competitions, once they've got it moving, it's relatively straightforward to keep it going. So in the early days of you being the artist, all right, you've got, momentum doesn't really start out that good because you're just starting to get going, all right? Okay, but as things progress, you start to get some momentum. You sell a few pieces, you do an art fair or two, you find a gallery and things go well, and suddenly you're doing this and your graph is climbing and you're thinking, hey, this is pretty awesome, I'm doing really well. And then as time goes on, you probably find, there you are, that things sort of, they sort of filter out a bit, or you might think, yeah, okay, well, people aren't buying my work, what's going on now, etc., etc. And they start to find a bit of a dip and you think, God, it's hard to get my sales moving again, or this new batch of work that I've got isn't going terribly well, and you find that this is what happens. So your momentum line starts to dip a little bit after you started out really well. And then it kind of starts to do this again. So you might hit a new style, a new genre, you might find a new market, if you're with galleries, you might find a new one, you might get an online platform that starts selling for you, and then you start to maintain your momentum again. And then after that, it kind of stays fairly linear and fairly constant. So we've got, again, no definition of time, our momentum line, okay? So next thing I want to talk about is your desire. So relating back to our friend is like, I've just quit my job and now I'm going to be a full-time artist. Amazing. Okay, so right at the very top, when he starts out, point 0, I couldn't be happier. I'm no longer doing my job, which I hate, so my desire level is huge. Look at me, I'm loving this. This is fantastic. And it's actually pretty constant, and it's quite high. We're quite high up the chart here, which is brilliant. And then, yeah, you guessed it. Okay, so you've done it for a while, and, everything's sort of ticking over pretty okay, a few ups and downs. And then this is what starts to happen. You know, so maybe there's a life event that happens to you, or you lose gallery representation, or something happens, or you invest some money and it doesn't work out, or for whatever reason. But generally speaking, what I've found out is that when I've showed this to the other artists that I've spoken to, they all say that your desire really goes down, and then you start to struggle, and then you get this happen, and you get this crossover, and here is the point you can lose your mojo. I don't know what other word to describe it as, but your mojo, you're like, I can't create, I have no idea what I'm doing, blah, 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 blah. And that's the point where it all goes a bit wrong. And you can spend, I've spent months in this sort of position, literally just flatlining. And then all of a sudden, boom, you do that. And then you carry on, and then it becomes this nice linear progression. So that is how desire can almost plot itself during the journey. Now, there's one other one I want to put in, which I think is probably the most important one of the lot, and that's the work one. So when I mean your work, what I'm talking about now is what you create. So if you're a potter, it's all your stone and earthenware. If you're a portrait artist, it's all your canvases, etc. But this is what happens. Look, so in between these lines, you've got a level that you're at, and it actually pretty much does that all the time. Now, irrespective of what happens here, when you've got no mojo, you think your work is terrible, you're not selling anything, your work isn't terrible. It isn't. Your work actually is always constantly evolving, which is why the line is linear and why it always goes up. And the longer you do this, the better it gets. That's just the way it is. It's absolutely the way it is. So this little bit in between here, let's use a black one. So we go back to our desire and motivation and momentum. These dips, we're in one at the moment, actually, a lot of us. And over here in the UK, it's called Brexit. Let's hope that gets sorted out with the general election. All right, so there are some things that we can't sort of change in these kind of like black holes, these periods where you can produce the best work you possibly can, but if absolutely no one wants to buy any of it for whatever reason, not because they don't like it, for even economic reasons, then there isn't a lot we can do except look at other places that we can sell it instead of the ones that we're domestically involved in. Okay, so the one last thing I'm going to stick in here, yes, I get to use my orange at long last, and I want to put some little bubbles in here. You might think, good God, Ed, what are you doing? Yeah, you can see you're not classically trained. These are our comfort zones. So here we're creating and we're doing all that we're doing, which is fine and fantastic, and then we've got this nice linear sort of graph up. But at what point do you then do this and come out of what you normally do and find your new areas? Really come out into the unknown, really pushing your comfort zones. I'm not naturally comfortable in front of a camera. I'm just not. I mean, I have to do this because it's important and I want to do it. But none of this comes easy for me, so I've just got to learn and try and get better every time. Getting better every time, that's the green line. See, look, the more we do something, the better we are. If you practice piano for 1 hour, you're not going to be as good as if you practice for 10,000 hours. It's just the way it works. All right, but understanding that you have places to go outside of this graph is where your comfort zones come in, and it is so, so, so important. Where's my black again? So we're almost capping the graph there, look. And then saying what lies outside of it are the things that you don't know about, the things you're very uncomfortable with. And this actually is the real growth. This is establishing, this is going through the highs and the lows, this is understanding you as a person and you as a creative and how you fit with everything. And then on the way back up, that's the point at which you can identify, where am I really going to push myself? And that's where you can really, really make a difference. Anyway, that's my take on the artist journey line graph. It'd be good to do a Venn diagram. I like maths stuff like this, although I don't plot everything on a graph, of course. But I just thought for this instance, it was probably quite interesting just to have a little play with it, to understand the highs and the lows. That's all this is. This is understanding, if you're an artist, kind of what happens, what the artist journey looks like. Yours might be completely different. So don't leave comments saying, it's nothing like that, Ed. Mine is awesome and it did this all the way along and you're up here and great, happy days. My experience and the 4 that I spoke to have all pretty much had the yay, oh. I don't know how you plot that, but that's it. Anyway, right, so the really exciting thing, thank you so much for watching up until this point. Really exciting thing, we've reached 10,000 subscribers. A massive thank you if you've subscribed already, and genuinely if you're finding the channel relevant and useful, that we just couldn't be happier, me and AD. I mean, that's absolutely brilliant. But I did say, and I've said it on the live streams, when we get to 10,000 subs, we're going to give a painting away. So yes, I absolutely promise you that's what we're going to do. So next week's vid, I'm going to be showing you which painting we're going to give away, and it will literally be done randomly. And we'll do it to any continent on the globe. You'll get a Swarez original if you're the one that's picked out, and we're going to do it probably next week and cover that off. So you've got to be subscribed. If you know anyone who wants to potentially win an original, get them to subscribe as well. If you like the video, give us a thumbs up, share it out across the media. The more people that like it, the better. But yeah, subscribe, get in it to win it. We're definitely going to be giving a painting away. Okay, so that's it. Thank you so much, ladies and gents, for watching today. I hope you've enjoyed the graph and the one-time use of the of the whiteboard. I dare say I probably won't use it again, except to draw funny pictures on, but that's another day. Okay, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.